Hey guys, it's been a minute. I haven't filmed a video quite like this in a very long time, but I just wanted to start 2025 off fresh and new. And what better way to do that than a Q&A? So I've asked you guys on my Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube page what burning questions you had, and you guys delivered this time. Hey everybody, it's DeeJayBe. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Darynn, and in this video, we're gonna answer some of your burning questions. I'm actually filming this within the week that it's going to be posted. So we're actually starting 2025 off with current real life content. I feel like a lot of my channel lately has been a lot of older videos. I film stuff all the time and I don't necessarily post it right away. So you're getting like old stuff from a year ago, new stuff from a couple days ago. It's really a mixed bag. I don't always love that because I feel like it loses the connection that we could potentially have here. And I do want to focus on that a little more this year. However, I do feel like I want to make more tutorials and things, and I feel like that's what everybody wants. They don't really want the Q&A videos. They don't really want the unboxing videos. Let me know in the comments if there's anything that I can do differently or better or something you want to see this year. So I have all the questions here on my phone, and we're going to start with the Facebook questions, which there wasn't too many. Then we're going to go to YouTube. Then we're going to finish off with Instagram because that's the platform that usually gets the most. Jade Appleby. I'm going to preface this whole video with, if I butcher your name, I apologize. I have really bad enunciation. Are there any projects you've made where you were surprised by viewers' reactions? Like a project you hated that everyone else loved, or vice versa? 100% this happens pretty much with everything. Most of my favorite pieces are the pieces that don't get the attention of the public. And then a lot of the ones that I finish that are just okay, and usually the ones I want to sell are the ones that people really love. My reel, my short of my customizing process featured custom Duke. Also not my best work, not my best video. I hodgepodged that together, and that's had over 30 million views now, I think. I don't know the total count. It goes up every single day. It's still my most viewed video across all platforms. It doesn't always make sense, and I think that's the beauty of sharing your work, is seeing what people like and what people don't like. I don't let that hold me back, and I make sure I continue to do work that I like. Crestview Studios Equine Artistry of Kathleen Chamblin asks, how do you work through artist block? Also, how do you come up with medallions without accidentally making the same sculpture that a different artist did? Two great questions. I feel like artist's block has a lot to do with your mental state. And I actually find that I don't have a ton of artist block. I think I just have burnout, which can feel like artist block. The hardest part about doing any form of art or anything that's challenging on the brain, the hardest part is the initial 30 seconds it takes to sit down and start the thing. And I think we limit ourselves a lot and we say, I don't feel like it, the weather's not right, the temperature's not right, I'm not feeling it. If you can convince yourself to just start, then the flow state comes pretty much immediately. I just force myself through that, and then I don't find that I'm blocked hardly at all. When I do feel like a block, that usually just means I'm burnt out or I'm doing that thing too much. I do a lot of art, and in that case, I just switch what I'm doing. In terms of sculpting to similar artists, this is a touchy subject in the terms of copying or referencing, using other people's art as inspiration or photographs as inspiration. The reality of our art form being that we are replicating the horse is that the horse can only look so many different ways. It can only be in so many different poses. It can only have so many different colors, breed types. So I wouldn't get so hung up on worrying about accidentally replicating someone's piece. You're never going to replicate it completely, but it does happen. And so long as it's an accident, it's passable. If you're actively searching up other artists' work and copying the pose word for word and then claiming it as your own, that's obviously not okay. I find sometimes the subconscious will find things that it likes and automatically translate those into what you're doing. So sometimes stuff does come out very similar. Make what you want, make what you like, and put your own spin on it. Always try to find that little piece of yourself that you can infuse into it, because we all have something unique that we can bring to the table. Lydia McDaniel asks, will we be getting more Hores and Forges, perhaps other rare species? I'm going to break some hearts in this answer, but I don't think so. I think the Hores and Forges were really fun. I want to explore new ideas, and I have lots of new ideas in the back of my mind and in behind the scenes. I think the Hores and Forges did their time. They served a purpose. We had a lot of fun with them, but I don't think that they'll be back, at least not for for the next little while. This is from Hope Renee. How did you design your studio logo? I actually do a little bit of graphic design on the side for businesses and companies, mainly locally. So I've done the logo designing process several times over. I learned it in school a little bit, and then I carried it through into my career. I took multiple sketches, picked my favorites, played with the line work, and then you just keep playing with the line work until you're happy. You eventually upload those into a software. I use Adobe Illustrator, where you can create vector lines. A vector line is a line that can be infinitely expanded or shrunk, as opposed to a JPEG where, you know, you zoom it in too far. You can see the pixels. In a vector file, it infinitely expands and never loses its form. You can create really refined line work that way. Trying to draw horses in a very simplified form using as few lines as possible, and that was kind of the challenge for said logo. Falafel Warrior asks, what is one of your favorite customs you've ever made and why? At this current time of filming, I would have to say it is Judas. I think the one I'm working on right now might be my new favorite when it's done, but it's not done yet, so I can't like make assumptions quite yet. I think Judas really holds that specific part of my heart because he was crafted from literal tails, leftover bits and pieces of my other customs. The armature was crazy, and somehow I still sculpted a fairly conformationally accurate horse out of that, and it was so hard. Like, sculpting is so hard. So to be able to actually complete that at that level was a really exciting moment. And when I look at him, I see that journey. Atomic Eva 20 asks, do you ever want kids? I find this a question interesting because I have really been grappling with this a lot. I'm in my last few years of my 20s and I'm getting closer to my 30s. And I always said kind of around 30 is when I would want to think about having kids potentially. Growing up, I've always wanted kids. I've always wanted a family. I've always wanted marriage, and a house, and a horse. So I have the marriage, the house, the horse, and the dog even. I'm just kind of happy in this state currently with all of that. My career is really important right now. My husband's career is really important right now. So we've both collectively kind of just decided we're just gonna continue to live life, and if that's something we choose in the next few years, I don't think we'll feel negatively either way. I think we're both kind of neutral on it. I think it is something we ultimately want to do. So maybe one day there will be a tiny DeeJayBe, but for right now, it'll just be me, my husband, our dog, and our horse. Blue Halter Briers asks, is it hard to sell customs that you're particularly fond of or worked really hard on? 100%, 102% actually. That is why I have an extensive personal collection of customs because I simply don't have the heart to sell them. A lot of artists sell all their work. I don't love selling everything because I want to be able to show people this is what I do. And I also like to keep progress pieces to say, this is where I once was, this is where I am now. And ultimately, I started this whole journey making pieces for myself. And often I'll keep pieces for a certain amount of time and then sell them later when I make better pieces to replace them. But there are a few key pieces that I would never sell. Sleech, I call them Sleech. Sleech Horse Studios asks, what motivated you to start customizing and painting model horses? Where does your inspiration come from? I've always collected Briers. I chose a different career path in life, felt kind of frustrated with that career path, started painting model horses just out of something new and exciting for my brain to do, fell in love with it, and haven't looked back ever since. So the inspiration purely comes from that feeling of wanting to create something with my hands, wanting to be able to hold my art, see my art, have it be tangible, and ultimately reflects the horse, which is my favorite animal and a really important piece of my life, my childhood, and my entire existence. So it doesn't really have inspiration, I don't think. It just happens. I'm that passionate about it that it's not something I find myself needing to motivate. Dusk Flowers asks, what do you use to make your stickers, or how do you come up with your sticker club themes? I make all of my stickers in-house on a commercial printer that I own. So I buy the rolls of vinyl, I print the stickers myself, I laminate them, and then I mail them out. They're handmade 100%, and I'm not sure that everybody knows that. There isn't really a rhyme or reason to how the themes work. A lot of the past few years of themes have just been me experimenting with drawing in general. So we did general breeds, we did general movements, general general disciplines. And as we go into this year, 2025, with Botanical Beauties, we're exploring flowers and horses together, which is a little more artistic and unique. And going forward, I have lots of really cool ideas to kind of implement the month by month. PRS Studios Official asks, do you do commissions? If so, what helps you finish them on time, even if you're feeling demotivated to work on them? I have taken commissions in the past. I don't actively take them now, and I kind of pick and choose what I'll take and who I'll work with. And I think that's the key factor. I kind of pick what speaks to me, what I'm really excited to work on. I have a couple of key clients who I've worked for a couple times, and they're just super easy people to deal with. They allow me to have creative freedom. They allow me to have an extended timeline so that I'm able to do my best work for them. I also never guarantee turnaround time. So I do my very best to have them done at least in a 6-month window. Sometimes it takes longer, and often like the preliminary waiting period can be longer, where I'll say, yes, I'll take your commission, but it'll be like a couple months before I actually take it, as in take a deposit and start to work on the piece. I find there's a lot of pressure when I have commissions in-house, so I want to get them out the door as fast as possible. That's motivating to me. There's like this expectation that as soon as you start posting and sharing your work that you're expected to take commissions. And a lot of people told me this in the beginning too. You don't need to. Don't feel pressured, and don't let anyone pressure you to do that if you don't want to do that. You should only ever take stuff that you like and you're excited about. And there's a lot of gut feel to taking commissions and working with people online. If you're just not feeling the vibes and you're unsure, or the resin isn't quite what you wanted, or something goes wrong in the process, it's okay to back out and say no, because that's better than going through with it, knowing in your gut it's wrong, and then having it turn into a bigger thing. So I personally find more joy in making sales pieces and selling them as I go. I don't necessarily know that that's as lucrative as doing commissions, but the commissions just don't speak to me the same way, and that's just my personality, and I've learned to accept that. I do have a submission form on my website, and I will only accept a request if the official form is filled out. Bethany asks, what is one piece of life advice you would want to pass on to others? It could be about anything. I think my biggest piece of advice is to just start. Just do the thing. Start the thing. If you've ever thought about wanting to do something, go do it. Like seriously, it's as simple as that. And it's as simple as that because that is incredibly hard. With model horse customizing, it was a tiny idea I had in my head. I had to wake up and go do it. And I did it. And then it creates this momentum, and you just continue to do things, continue to start things. And that's how you grow, how you get better, and how you feel accomplished at the end of the day. I think a lot of us struggle mentally with a lot of different things, and I am no exception to that. I think we hold ourselves back a lot. We don't believe in ourselves, and we struggle to see our potential at times. And I think if we were just to sit down and do it, we would feel a lot better about ourselves. I get a lot of questions about motivation and inspiration. And to that, I feel like it's either there's just not enough sitting down and starting, or it's just not in the cards for you. And that's also okay. So I think going out, doing the thing, trying the thing, starting the thing, and don't be afraid to suck at it and continue to do it if you like it. And if you don't, say, great, I did it. I tried it. I can say that I've done it. And I've moved on, and I'm going to do something else now, and that's also totally okay. Bucking Hooves asks, will you be doing Nami Payo this year? I low-key forgot about Nami Payo. I honestly, it was not on my radar. I'm so invested in the other stuff I'm doing right now that I completely forgot. That being said, I have several resins in the studio ready for paint, so I think I can pick any one of them and just use that as a goal to finish. Samantha Equestrian asks, are you going to Brierfest again this year? And if so, are you hosting any workshops? So I am in fact going to be attending Brierfest 2025. I mean, how can you miss it? After you go once, I feel like you have to go every year after that. And yes, Brier just announced my workshop, so I will be teaching not one, but 2 workshops. So I'll be teaching on the Thursday this year and the Saturday, and it's the same workshop that I taught last year. So it's the Appaloosa patterning class, and that's perfect because I know a lot of people wanted into that class and couldn't get into that class. So the Thursday class is open to all in-person ticket holders. The Saturday class is open to VIP only, so you have to have a VIP ticket to get in. I hope it's not as competitive, but it might be, so I don't know. I kind of just say that I'm going to be teaching the the workshop and Brier handles the rest of it. So all that information and everything regarding registration and all that is on the Brier site. I don't know when that's happening. You just have to follow Brier updates. Charlotte, with 2 E's, asks, are we going to see a custom barn video this year? I bought that giant Brier barn and I shared that on Instagram and everybody was very excited about said Brier barn. My goal is to, yes, customize that barn. Will it happen this year? Unlikely. Pretty much the first half of the year is all dedicated to Brierfest prep and getting myself to July. And then after July, it's a little more chill. So probably the end of the year is likely when I would start that, if I am to start that, but it might be a while before I do. Like I said, I don't guarantee timeline. Hidden Gate Farm KY asks, will you sculpt for Brier? So that is my ultimate dream and goal. I really would love to sculpt for Brier. I think that that would be an incredible experience and kind of like the I did it, I made it moment, especially because it's not been super easy for me or streamlined for me at all. I've definitely had to work for it. I don't have any current plans to sculpt for them, but I am really hoping that one day I get to. So if you'd like to see a piece from me, pester Brier. Send them emails and tell them that I would like to. Even if they did ask me, I am not technically allowed to say that. So honestly, I don't feel 100% ready for that experience quite yet. I think I'm getting there, but there is a lot of pressure to create a piece that will go on to be replicated thousands of times over. So the sculpture needs to be really solid. We will see, only time will tell, and I will continue to work on my skills until that point. Lucky7 Rachel asks, how many hours of painting do you think you average on a project? The little micro guys take me about a day to paint. I can paint one of those guys in 8 hours. Stablemates take about 2 to 3 days. Venties are about a week. Classics are around 2 weeks, and traditionals are anywhere from 2 weeks to 4 weeks generally. And I would say in those traditional paint jobs, it's about 30 to 40 hours probably per horse. It's quite a few full-on 8-hour days, but I break them up so much that it's hard to say exactly how long. Nix Exists asked, what's a sculpture you want to create but don't know how to achieve yet? The one I'm currently working on is a little bit tricky and I'm still figuring out how exactly to execute that. So if you'd like to see behind the scenes of that, I do post all of my behind the scenes projects on Patreon now, but there's many things in my brain currently that I would like to explore that are going to have a intense execution level. We're going to attempt those, but I'm not going to spoil any of them because they're all a surprise. Sona Flynn asks, how did you learn to draw such amazing horse stickers? Years and years and years of practice. I used to be purely a traditional artist and purely a cartoon character artist, which is interesting. Not a lot of people really appreciated that style. I did it mostly for myself. I have sketchbooks full of stories and characters. When I bought my iPad, that's when the practice really got intense. I've drawn hundreds of horses now at this point, more than I've ever probably drawn in my whole life. So the iPad really helped. Also, I find the sculpting bleeds into the traditional art and the traditional art bleeds into the sculpting. So the anatomy study of both of those and how to understand and visualize and replicate the horse form has really helped a lot. Sarah Bros asks, how does one do those beautiful faux OF models, especially to get the crisp OF markings? I personally have never actually made one of these horses before, but I kind of understand how it works. Basically, you take a Brier, you sandblast it, so you remove all the OF paint, and then you paint with enamel-based paints. So it's a different kind of paint entirely, and you mask out all of the white. So you have bare plastic, and then you would put a sticker of the markings, which is called a mask, and then you paint your color over top of the sticker, and then you peel the sticker off, and you're left with the horse with pretty markings. Linear Eclipsist asked, how would you recommend starting to sell custom models? The key piece of advice here is to not oversell yourself. I think we often feel like we're a little more valuable than we actually are in terms of selling our art. You don't want to undervalue yourself, but you want to be realistic in pricing. And I think sometimes out of the gate, some people charge a lot. They feel like there is a lot of money in the industry, which there is, but you have to kind of build up to that. There was a time I charged a lot less for my work, and now I charge a lot more. And it's been a gradual growth because my skills have improved and I've gotten better. My work is more sought after than it once was, so the value increases over time. And when you die, it increases even more. Painted Mare Studios asks, what is something you wish you knew as a beginning artist? Anatomy study is really important. I didn't do a lot of anatomy study when I was starting out and in general, and I've really honed in on learning more anatomy and understanding muscle and bone and like actually sitting down and studying it and actually like drawing on some papers, actually like making it make sense in your brain. I've noticed a huge difference in my sculpture and in my drawing styles, just knowing the actual bone structure better. Because I think sometimes as visual artists, we just see shapes and we replicate said shape. We're not actually seeing the 3D form underneath. Kate Boblet asks, how did you know when you were ready to start making art for other people? I personally like to practice a lot. So I'm not someone that will just do a couple pieces and then announce to the public, I would like to take your money to make art. I am a person that needs to feel really confident. Commission-wise, I've only ever taken paint commissions. So at the time when I had painted majority of the main horse colors that existed. That being said, sometimes it's easier to specialize in a certain area, but there is like a small piece of just throwing yourself into the deep end. And there is that in life. In general, you'll never fully be ready. You kind of just have to take the plunge at a certain point. It's not going to be perfect, but you're going to try and you're going to do your best. And I do think when you're working with someone else, there is a little more pressure to do a really good job. And with that pressure, it almost pushes your art a little more. So there is a good component to taking commissions in that sense. Fluffy Malamute Studios asked, what's been your favorite part of creating each of your original sculptures, the resin editions? Resins are just so fun. It's truly creating something from nothing and creating it out of your own heart and your own experiences. Resins are very personal. They hold a lot of sentiment. I think creating a story, creating a feeling, an emotion is my favorite part of creating any piece, especially the resins, because you're sending those out into the world multiple times. So I really resonate strongly with Sonder because I feel like the feeling and the emotion she conveys is really deeply personal to me. Mariah Vogue asks, if you had to pick one to live without, which would it be? Frogs or salt and vinegar? Mariah. She knows how to like stick it to the heart. This is a soul question. Yeah. So not a lot of people know that I love frogs. I mean, I guess it could be assumed from the Hores and Forges, but I love frogs, but I also love salt and vinegar, like probably too much. Salt and vinegar chips, I can crush a bag of those. Salt and vinegar goes on my popcorn every single time I eat it. It's really bad. You wake up like with complete dry mouth. Feels like a hangover sometimes. Frogs and salt and vinegar are another two key integral points of my personality and my entire existence. So picking one of those to eliminate makes me want to cry. I am gonna have to say that I would go with salt and vinegar because I think I could live without salt and vinegar, but my childhood would have been really sad without frogs, and I think my adulthood would be really sad without frogs. Daryl McKenna asks, what is it like being a married artist? Do you feel more support/encouragement? I feel like it's not different. I mean, marriage in general wasn't very different to me. Chance and I have been together for 8 years now. So we've been through a lot of ups and downs, but our initial attraction and our initial meeting was in art school. So we're both a little bit artsy. And I think he knew that about me from the get-go. And I was very clear about what my priorities were from the get-go. So he's always been super supportive in that sense. And that's just him as a person. He's really incredible that way in general for everybody in his life. He's a very supportive person. That being said, I think it's important to step away from work and make time for marriage and relationship because I work a lot and he also works a lot. So we definitely have to be mindful about making time for each other and fitting that in. La Harris du Loop. I'm definitely saying that wrong. Are you happy with your current style of painting today? I'm going to say both yes and no to this. I think my painting and my sculpting style is evolving every single time I make a new piece, every single time I sit down and create something. I don't like let myself stay stagnant. I'm always pushing the envelope. I'm always trying new techniques. I am happy with my style in a sense that I feel like I've really explored finding my own unique way of painting, and it's very true to me. And when you look at my work, you see DeeJayBe. I paint kind of for myself and what makes me happy. So in that sense, yes. But in the sense of, will it always look the same? Probably not. I'm not always 100%. I always feel like there's somewhere to improve and somewhere to grow on every single piece that I do. Not being happy is also good because you want to push yourself. So this is the final and last question, and it's a good one to end this video on, I think. Rose Fox Customs asked, what do you wish more people would understand about you/your art? I feel like a lot of people do understand, and I really saw that at Brier this year, and that was really humbling and inspiring and really special. It's why I'm here on earth. I truly believe that. It is my purpose. I truly just want to be here for the art of it. If we didn't have the social media and we didn't have the YouTube and the platform and all of this, I would still be doing it. I think all of this is just a bonus, so I never ever take it for granted, and I feel really special and honored and privileged to be in the place that I am. It's assumed, well, you're a big artist, therefore you can charge more, therefore you have power, therefore you have this and this and this, and I don't see it as that at all. I don't feel any power in the position I'm in to have a lot of followers or to be known by a lot of people. Like, I truly feel like I'm just one of you guys, and I want to use this platform to be able to encourage you to start your own journey. That's truly the fundamentals of DeeJayBe Studios. I hope that that comes across in the content that I make, but I'm also human. I also make mistakes sometimes. I try to be as open-minded and honest and thoughtful as possible. And ultimately, I feel like I have been doing a good job, and I should be allowed to tell myself that as well, because I don't give myself enough credit a lot of the time. That's a great last question to finish this video off. I so appreciate if you've listened to the very end of this. Kind of like a podcast episode. I like these kind of videos because I listen to them all day in the background while I do my own work. Maybe you do that too. Like I said at the beginning of this video, if there's anything that you want to see from me or any other questions you have, feel free to leave them in the comments below. As always, it is an honor and a privilege to have spent this time with you. Thank you so much for watching. This has been DeeJayBe Studios. If you'd like to see behind the scenes of everything I'm working on before everybody else, come check out my Patreon. You can follow me on all of my other social media platforms, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. You know the shtick. And be sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, because it helps it grow and it continues to allow me to make more content like this and get to spend time hanging out, chatting with a few of my favorite like-minded friends. Once again, thank you for watching, and happy collecting, customizing, and loving the horse.